Yeah, hello everyone, and a very good afternoon to all the educators. On behalf of Early Childhood Association, I, Harsha Ramaya, welcome you all for this wonderful and fantastic, informative session brought by ECA Pune Territory. So, first, I would like to welcome all the panelists. So, I would request the panelists to kindly switch on their mute buttons. So here, first, I would like to welcome Seema Tanwar, who happens to be the ECA Territory Head for Pune chapter. Welcome,
Thank you,
Seema.
Harsha ma'am. And it's really an honor to be here as a part of this panel. I must say, ECA is doing a phenomenal job by linking all people together in this difficult time. So I'm just happy that I'm able to contribute too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Seema. Next on this panel, we have Rupashri. Rupashri, welcome.
Thank you very much, Harsha ma'am, and an honor to be here. It's absolutely my pleasure to be part of this panel and contribute in whatever little way I can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rupashri. Thank you. And I want to thank you for the title that you have given for this workshop, for this session, this webinar. Thank you, Rupashri.
Thanks.
Then we have Dr. Ankita Sanghvi with us. Dr. Ankita.
Good afternoon, Harsha ma'am. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this panel. And thank you, ECA, and thank you to our godmother, Swati ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ankita. And on this panel, we have Smita Agarwal. Hi, Smita.
Hi, Harsha. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's a pleasure and honor being a part of this panel with such wonderful panelists. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So the topic that we have chosen, to discuss today is a fantastic topic, and I think the need of today's are gearing up to get digital, because I think everything in the classrooms have shifted from the traditional setup to the screens. So I think it's very important that we discuss on these topics, and when educators and stakeholders come on the panel and they discuss, I think a lot more goes out as information, as a part of opinion, as a part of views. So my first question, Seema, will be to you, and I request the other panelists to kindly mute their buttons. So Seema, my first question to you is that, do you think that digital classroom is a possibility? Specifically, my target is about preschools. And if you feel that yes, till what extent? So Seema, on to you for the first question.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I think, yes, this is the question that is there in everybody's mind these days, parents, educators, everybody. So I think let's talk about first the need to go digital. So I think my realization or my story started about a month back when I understood that there was a pressing need to go digital. And I think it was not because other preschools are going digital, or there was a peer pressure, or there were parents asking about it. No, but I think the fact that for the next 3 to 4 months, due to the current lockdown and due to the current situation, preschoolers cannot come back to school. I think when we started realizing that as educators, that is when there was a need that if we have to reach out to our children, if there has to be learning, then we have to go online. And that is where I think the search started for me, for the right content, for the right platform, and I think most importantly the right learning outcomes. So I think the last 1 month has been it's a game changer for me, and of course for my whole team. It's been a whole paradigm shift, because I think suddenly it has this model has seemed to open up a whole new possibility for a child to learn, first of all, something new, or learn the same things but in a very, very different way. So now the next question that I had was, we wanted to bounce it off with parents. So as educators, we have accepted, but do our parents really want their children to come online and have a screen time? So this is where, we kind of started sending teasers to them, that we are starting a Click Your School project. So are you interested? So I think the response from the parents have been good, because I think they have also realized now that there is a need to go online. Digital learning is the solution now. Now, essentially, when we talk about digital learning, I think it is a blended learning solution. It is a combination of offline activities, e-learning, there is online classes as well, sessions. We have been always traditionally using, e-learning or digital platform for adults or, at least children who are bigger. They're not toddlers. So, and this is because there are certain limitations to digital learning. It requires intense focus on self-discipline. It has an intense requirement of self-direction. And this is where parent collaboration and teachers collaboration became very important. So we started saying, when we introduced it to parents, teachers have to be parents and parents have to be teachers. So I think as long as we are going digital and there is a room for all of us to connect with the parent community, and it has bonded well, in the last 1 month, I think I am more closer to my parent community than ever before. So yes, there are limitations, but we can do it.
We cannot hear you, Harsha ma'am. You're
Sorry,
on.
I am sorry. Thank you, Smita. Thank you. So very nicely you mentioned, Seema, that yes, the traditional classroom setup and the setup on the online really has made the teachers and the students' relationship has bonded, has become very strong, and innovations have been seen. When you are going digital, a lot of things can be innovated, and we have seen a lot of creativity also. So thank you, Seema, for your feedback. I will come to Rupashri with the same question. Rupashri, can you throw some light?
Yeah.
You'll have to
So,
switch on your mic. Thank you, Rupashri.
yeah, I have done that. Am I audible? Yeah. So, like Seema also rightly said, this is a question that's been playing on everybody's mind, because realistically, it looks like our brick and mortar schools, as we know it, will not start before September. The most optimistic estimate is also July. And pessimistically, it may be that this whole academic year, we may not be able to get toddlers back into the school, or children back to school, for the fear of the virus spreading. So I feel, even at a preschool level, an online classroom has to be an option, because as much as toddlers can be taught at home, they also need an avenue where they need to connect with somebody apart from their family. Their socio-emotional development is also important, and hence it is a need. In an online sort of a classroom, pretty much all the domains of early childhood can very well be covered, is what I feel. A lot of domains that need a lot of auditory and visual kind of input are pretty easy, and actually sometimes a lot more effective, in fact, to cover in an online virtual kind of an environment. Flashcards, storytelling session, rhyme sessions, all this can be quite effectively done online. Art sessions also can be done online. A lot of sensory learning, for which we have very specialized teaching aids in the school, and we take them for granted many times when we do our lesson planning, may or may not be available at everybody's homes. So these sensory learning aids, however, then I think will need to be thought of in a different light. For that, I think we as educators, when we do our curriculum planning, and of course, I'm sure we'll talk about that in more detail, but this is the part of learning that we need to think about differently. Not that it cannot happen. I think the way it happens will have to be rethought about when we are talking about an online or a virtual classroom environment. In my opinion, in a virtual classroom environment, a teacher's role will be more of somebody who is providing a lot of emotional support to the children than actually teaching, because children really need that as much as parents need time away from the children. It's a fact that children also need time away from their parents, and they need to connect to other people for their own development. So yes, it's definitely a possibility, and to quite an extent, I would say, domain wise, pretty much everything can be done. Activity wise, in my opinion, 60 to 70% of our activities as we do it today can very well be brought online as well. To some extent, what cannot be done, of course, we will have to look at parent partnerships for it. That's my take on it.
Thank you, Rupashri. Very well, in your talk, you weaved the teacher's aspect, you weaved the parents' support and cooperation and everything. Very well said. Now I will come to Smita. Smita, you can switch on your mic. The second question to Smita is, what kind of update can we do in the preschool plan and the methodology of conducting lesson plans? Because in the traditional setup, the whole scenario is different. And when a teacher is taking a session live on any platform, the reincarnation has to be done. The whole revision has to be done. So I think, Seema, if you can throw some light on this question.
Smita.
I think Smita is taking this question. Yeah.
Smita. Yes.
First. Yeah.
Smita.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Smita,
for
yes.
an online, yes, for virtual classrooms, one thing which we need to understand is we basically need to shift from instructional learning to rather help take don the role of constructing a learning environment for students, so that they can do their own learning. We just have to be more than teachers. We need to be mentors or facilitators. So yes, there has to be the traditional classroom lesson plans cannot be done online. We have to tweak them. We need to follow certain. We need to keep things in mind that every time the child may not have access to the laptop or at a fixed timing. So we need to follow synchronous as well as asynchronous teaching, so that we are sharing videos. Videos, and they can do those things offline and then come back for a online session. Now, how much of asynchronous and synchronous, we need to figure that out according to our schools and according to our students. Another thing is we need to incorporate a lot of gamified and playful learning, so that there are lots of games which they play. Like we recently did an art tombola. So we had children play art, make their own tickets, and we played an online tombola, and we incorporated a few math learnings as well. Another thing which we need to do is use an interdisciplinary approach, so that the 4 hours of schooling can be reduced to a smaller timing online. We cannot have 4 hours of schooling online. That would be too much. That would be a lot of strain. That would they don't have that much attention span. I feel more than an hour a day would be too much for children. Maybe max 1 hour 15 minutes. That's what I feel, and that was my observation with my students. Another thing is what we need to do is go bilingual, so that even parents can understand. We need to have lesson plans which are bilingual, so that even parents can understand. Not all parents understand this. This is being talked of even in the previous webinars. So this one thing which we need to understand. Another thing would be crisp communication. So our lesson plans need to be tweaked, so that there is a crisp communication from teachers, and we need to have a more inquiry based approach, so that we ask the right questions. Like, say, suppose we are doing the sound. I mean, we want to teach children sound. So here we have the auditory sensory learning as well. The sensory learning lags a lot with online. We cannot give them a full sensory experience, but a part of it, yes. We can ask them to make their own shakers with the grains and the available dabbas, like the steel dabbas, plastic dabbas, bottles, glass bottles, and they can experiment with the quantity. So they realize half full, 3/4 full, full. So we cover the math aspect, we cover the sound aspect, auditory experience, along with the touch and feel of the grains. We can include spices, so they can have the sense of smell. So we can ask them, how did this sound? So they can have various answers. We had answers like, this sounds like the pitter patter of the rain on my roof. So children come up with very innovative answers. You never know what answers they come up with. So these are some little things which we need to do so that there would be And another thing which we were just talking about before we started the webinar was, printing of worksheets. So I feel when children are given games, when it's gamified and when it's made playful, children do it on their own without very little assistance from parents. So maybe little things which parents can just do it for their children, or rather, like how we did the art tambola, they painted their own, they with the crayons, color pencils, they made their own tickets. So that was one thing which they also enjoyed, and then they come online and play the tambola. So these little things which we need to tweak our lesson plans.
Thank you, Smita. I think digital is taking on all the social medias or on the lesson plans. So I feel the teacher is also evolving in this process of exploring the digital. So I think we are understanding what concept, what content to deliver as we are making the lesson plans for every single day. Because once we've delivered one lesson plan, I think the teacher sits back and analyzes that, okay, now this thing has taken the interest of the child, this thing keeps the child engaged. So I think we also are learning in this process, and it's becoming an experience for, I think, all of us. So the same question I will ask you, Seema, that how can the lesson plans be more effective when they go digital?
Right. So I think I completely agree with what Smita also just put in. So I was initially talking about a blended learning solution, and so there is a fact that we have to look at. The fact is that if given the right set of environment and the right set of instructions, wherever you put children, they will learn. So they needn't be in a classroom setup with charts around and a teacher talking that only in this environment they will learn. No, wherever children are, they will learn from their surroundings. So, and blended learning essentially is not only about an online tool, which many of us might think, and a teacher just going live and conducting a storytelling or a yoga session, which maybe that some of the teachers have started doing or some of the schools have started doing in the haste of going digital. It is basically the right mix of online and offline activities. So even in offline activities, there can be interactive worksheets, various games, activities that can be done at home with parents, with siblings. So it's basically the whole delivery model that needs to be chalked out in a manner that there is always a learning outcome and development. So I would also like to share my experience. I think beginning of the year, I was a part of the ECA education pilgrimage, and I got an opportunity to go around places, I think, with a whole group of brilliant educators from all over India. And I'm happy to say that one of the core concepts that I learned during my trip, when we visited the place where these philosophers were actually born, like Froebel and Montessori, they all started teaching from home setup. Later on, they might have modified their setup, and then there is a school that started, but they all started from home. And for Froebel, his philosophy says that with limited resources, there can be infinite learning opportunities. These days, this philosophy really makes sense. This is something that we are trying to incorporate now into our curriculum. So with limited resources like materials lying around us, we can teach n number of things to children. We can teach directions, numbers, colors, volume, weight, motion, and then we can even teach time. And we just have to create the right learning opportunities for them. That's it. So now, in today's scenario, if we can see that a mother is spending most of her time maybe in the kitchen, and the toddler also is there with her in the kitchen, then why not turn the kitchen into a learning zone? We can teach every activity there as well, whether it is a color. Count how many tomatoes did your mom use for cooking today? Were they red? Or what color were? So we can teach everything, even science experiments right standing in the kitchen. So I think in terms of lesson plans, some few things, yes, we had to modify. So first of all, what we told our teachers was, let's convert all lesson plans into session plans. Now it's not a lesson plan anymore. So when we use the word session plan, they start visualizing that they're not in a classroom anymore. Yeah. So it cannot be a 40 minutes class. It has to be reduced to a 20 minutes. So we found 20 to 30 minutes an ideal time what a child can sit in front of, a laptop or a digital learning media, with some breaks again in between, because there here also there is an initial time which a child will take to settle down. Yeah. So until that happens, I think 20 minutes. And when we started calling it a session plan, our teachers started visualizing what materials they can use around the house, how they can tweak all of their lesson plans. So I think that was definitely a game changer for us. So I think this sparked off a whole new thought process for them. Then how, when, what, and who all to address there. They all started thinking and questioning, involving parents, and I think connecting two sessions also in between, like how we do in classrooms. We do connect two lessons. We do revise. These are not independent sessions of each other. Let's connect. So let's bring the memory back for a child. Yes, I had met you yesterday, and we did study this, and now we had, that was your takeaway. This is what you were supposed to do, and get back to me. And have you done it? Let's flash it off on the screen. So involve the children more, because something that we have to understand here is that all the teachers cannot maintain eye contact with all the children. They are not able to see. So when we put the right spotlight on the children one by one, they feel engaged, they feel involved, and that's how the learning session becomes even better. So as an educator, I feel we have got a lovely opportunity to enhance our curriculum, and I think we must make the most of this lockdown.
Thank you, Seema. Three key takeaways, I think, from what you said. First, for the educators, you mentioned haste of going online.
Yeah,
I
true.
think we have to slow down. We have to understand, because it's a whole new process, a whole new learning, a whole new exploration for all of us. So I think that we really have to slow down and filter the content that we are going to give it on digital platforms. Second, I like that limited resources and lot many
Absolutely,
learning.
yes.
So I think that every kitchen, every drawing room has really become a boardroom or a place of learning.
True.
So I think each one of us have started understanding that it's not only the fancy aids that are in the school brings in learning. Actually, there are many things lying in our homes. If we try and gather them and give education, I think much more can be given. The third important thing I would like to underline, you mentioned about lesson plan, transferring it to the session plan. I think the whole idea, the whole perception, the whole delivery changes, with just changing a word. Because when you are planning a lesson plan, you have a logbook, you have a notebook in your hand, and when you're thinking about a session, I think the whole idea changes. So thank you, Seema, for this wonderful view. Now I will come to Ankita. Ankita, your mic. Now here, Seema also mentioned, all the speakers also mentioned that this is altogether a very new process for each one of us. So now I want to ask you, what kind of retraining teachers will be needed for going digital? Ankita, all to you.
Yes. So yes, this COVID-19 pandemic has completely overturned the traditional model of learning, and it is a tipping point in the history which is going to cause dramatic shifts. I would like to give very simple and practical tips, starting with the school owners and educators. Choose a platform which is very user friendly and which is free for parents, because that's also important. So choose a very user friendly platform to go online. um, Train your teachers before they go digital. Take a lot of demo sessions with them. Not all of them are going to be tech savvy, and not all and most of them are going to be camera shy. I have faced this with my teachers when we took some trial sessions in this period of lockdown. So most of the teachers were, oh my god, I don't know how I'm going to face the camera, and should I keep the audio on? Video, of course audio on, but should I keep the video on? So just get your teachers motivated to go to be on camera, to be more tech savvy. and there is going to be a lot of technology overload for parents as well as teachers. So an average class would involve at least 4 to 5 applications of for example, attendance, assignments, video conferencing. So start very, very slow. Don't overload, and don't try to do too many things in the initial period. Just go very slow. Let the teachers get a hang of it. Let them get trained. Let the parents also get and just overcome your teething problems. Another most important point which I would like to tell the educators is, don't get into a syllabus marathon. It is okay if you cover 60 to 70% of your syllabus for the year. Remember that we are dealing with children below 6-year-olds. So an academic delay of 6 months with these children below 6 years is absolutely okay. So don't put your teachers under the pressure of finishing the syllabus, which we usually do in a brick and mortar school. So just be more flexible. Cut down your syllabus to 60 to 70% with the most things of priority that you would want to cover. A few tips for teachers. Teachers, just leave away all your inhibitions and apprehensions of being on a camera. Trust yourself. You are a preschool teacher. So just don't bother. The children are going to be extremely happy to see you. That's more important. So just leave all your inhibitions aside. Prepare your session well in advance. Have your material ready so you don't have to get up in between your sessions. Some parents have given a feedback that if there's a small whiteboard or a blackboard on which the teacher is writing something while explaining, they get more attention of preschoolers. So if you have a whiteboard or a blackboard with you to assist to write something, it should be good. Always address the child which is attending. If there are 6, 7, 8, 9 children, address the child with the name. Like if there is Radha or if there is Meena, you have to address the child with the name. Let the child's name also be seen on the panel that you are. So if the videos of the other children are on, they will also be able to see which of their friends are in the class. Start your session the way you would start in your regular school. Start with your regular assembly, like a national anthem, and start with a prayer. For prayer, one thing which I would like to suggest is maybe you could ask one child to take a prayer every day, or you could also ask the child to write a prayer for that day. So it just engages the child that, okay, I have to do something tomorrow. I have to present something tomorrow. And believe me, children come up with brilliant prayers like, dear God, save this world from the deadly, dangerous virus. So, that all starts coming in the prayer, and you get to know what their thoughts are. Regarding your content, introduce numbers and letters with more of dancing movements, with more of body movements, rather than making them write or rather than teaching them through a book. You could also find a platform in which you could have co-hosts. Like there are a few platforms which allows only one host to be the host, but if for any technical reason, if there are any technical issues, you could always have a co-host, and your coordinator or principal could join in anytime during your session, and probably the teacher could announce that, okay, our principal ma'am is coming to talk to all of you, and she could take some small session. So the children get a feeling of being in a school where the principal is chipping in, the teacher is there. So, they get a feeling that, oh, someone's going to come. If the child is going to say something or narrate something, you could say that, okay, principal ma'am is going to enter and she's going to watch what you're doing. While you're taking the session, maintain an eye contact with children as much as possible. Yes, screen time is definitely going to be a big problem. So limit your sessions and give enough eye breaks. You could have a schedule of having some eye exercises during the session, and during an eye break, what you could do is maybe you could ask the child to quickly run to the terrace and pick up some sticks or leaves and come back. So these small activities where the child could get up from the screen, go around the house and get something, could also serve as an eye break. So keep these things in mind, that if these are children below 6 years of age, we cannot expose them to a lot of screen time. If your school principal, if you devise a plan where you could have online sessions maybe thrice a week, and the other 2 days you could probably ask a home plan for the parent to take, which you could discuss it on the other 3 days. So if you want to limit, especially for playgroup and nursery children, if you want to limit the sessions, then you could take 3 times in a week, and the other 2 days they could be doing something at home, which you can always monitor it during the other sessions. Home assignments should be completely off screen. Like, do not give them any home assignments which should be done on screen. It could be anything like drawing something, and there is an excellent app for such assignments to be uploaded. I don't know if you're aware of it. It's called the Seesaw app. It's a brilliant app which could be tied up with your platform, whichever you're using. And the child could if you ask the child to click a photo from the garden, the child can click a photo from the device and immediately put it up, and the class and the teacher can see it. So use this for the home assignments, but the home assignments could be helping around in the house, doing some chores, watering the plants and things like that. Also tweak your activities which relate to the environment of the child. So if you know that the child is at home, try to have your activities which involve a lot of things at home, in the kitchen, maybe something to do with the pet, family, siblings. So this will have the child and the parent will have more avenues to participate, make the session more fun and interactive. And the teacher should demonstrate by doing, and not only read out from the book or teach on a board. So whatever you want to do, just demonstrate it, and the child will follow more easily. And if you think it's getting too much, just get up and put on music and start dancing with the children. So this is going to be new for children. It's new for you. It is okay if the child is nervous and wants to exit at any point of time. Do not be very strict with the child or with yourself. And it is okay if there are absenteeisms. Maybe some child might not want to attend for the next 2 days. So, which is okay. You will have to be very, very flexible with all your schedules, and your attendance should not be very stringent. And I think, yes, and the teacher should keep children on mute when she's teaching, and whenever any child wants to answer, she could unmute that particular child. And then because if you have taken a trial, and if you have all children on unmute, believe me, all of them are talking to each other. So it would be wise that the teacher keeps all the children on mute and just unmutes the child whom she wants to answer. So that works perfectly well. And in the end, you could have a 5-minute interactive session where all of them can talk to each other. So they get a feeling of, creating that chaos at the end of the class. So you could end your class in that way.
Ankita, very well explained. A lot of takeaways from your talk that you said. The number one takeaway is the eye break. I have heard of icebreakers, but this eye break is going to be really very, very useful, because I think it will give a break to the children, and when they come back, it's a new class for them because they cannot sit for a long time. So this eye break is wonderful. Second, the way you motivated the teachers, I think it was the speech was very, very motivational, because the educators who are camera shy, who do not feel comfortable to face the camera, are really going to feel relaxed today, that it's not only me who is in this boat, but I think there are many other educators as well. And very rightly you mentioned that do not be strict with the children and with yourself. So I really like this point. Why? Because at times while delivering a session, it's always the completion of that session being very very nice is on the mind of a teacher, because she's expecting the best out of herself.
Yes.
So at times, unknowingly the teacher becomes very strict with her own self. So I think being flexible at this point of time, going slow, as Seema said, as you also very rightly said, that going slow, understanding each session and then delivering, I think it'll be a wonderful combination. So thank you, Ankita, for all the tips that you have given us. I will come to Smita now for the same question. Smita, you can switch on your mute button.
Yes. What I feel there is, just like as Seema said, there is a paradigm shift. So here, the shift is going to be towards a more dynamic learning. So there is going to be a lot of unlearning which teachers will have to do, and unlearning. And then maybe when the schools reopen, there will again be a little bit of relearning. So this process, teachers need to be aware and need to be kind of pepped up to face these this entire process. It's going to be, we talk about 21st century skills, the 4 C's: collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, communication. uh, and we are here, we facilitate these skills in our preschoolers. It's high time we also exercise all these skills, right? So just like how we go for a baking session to a baker and he's an expert at baking, and a driver, when we go to learn driving, she's an expert at driving. So we are preschool mentors and facilitators. So we should be, and we are mentoring children for 21st century skills. We need to be trained and we need to up our ant uh, in all these 4 C's. Another fifth C, which I would want to add, is choice. We should be trained to make the right choices, whether it's the choice of, just uh, taking a deep rest, or just just pushing too hard. We need to make that wise choice, when to take deep rest, and when to push harder, when to get out of your comfort zone. So this is one C which I would like to add. Just like how we want to give children choices, I just forgot to mention that in the previous thing. We would have to uh, uh, we would have to design our lesson plans according to a way in which we are giving lots of choices to children. So how to make these choices and how to give these choices. So just remember, out of deep rest, innovations happen. So that's where your creativity. So when Newton discovered gravity, he was sitting under the apple tree, and Archimedes had the eureka moment in the bathtub. In the same way, we also need to make that choice, when to have the deep rest and when to push yourself out of the comfort zone. So I feel, apart from using tech and making teachers tech savvy, we need to even skill them to use certain free platforms on internet like Canva, to make and tweak their worksheets. So it's very simple to use all these platforms, but here now the management and the school owners come into picture, where they have to take the lead to train their teachers in critical thinking, collaboration, communication, how to communicate with parents, how to communicate with students, how to make your communication crisp. So when just like how we need to understand the eye level recording and all these things, how to make your audio or the speech or whatever you're going to say during the video very crisp. So this is another training which I feel, and how to frame your questions. All these kind of things I feel are very important. Then creativity. How can I unleash my creativity and use all the materials which are found around the house, and make things interesting, gamified, and playful for children? So this is one thing which we need to train our teachers for. It's very difficult to just suddenly say, okay, now we are going online without any prep. Nobody's just born with all these things, or nobody's just learned all these things. We need to train ourselves. So this is one thing which I feel here the school owners and the management comes into picture, where they need to train their children. Collaboration. Now, how to collaborate with parents, how we can take their help, and how we can even give them orientation for all these things, so that they they have those. I mean, they develop those skills to collaborate in the teaching methodology. So this another training which I feel we need to give our teachers, and how to collaborate with peers as well. So that is another thing which I feel teachers need to understand. Then critical thinking, how to problem solve. Now this is another 21st century problem that we have encountered. How to problem solve it. So these things are very important. How to adapt your mindset. These are very small, little things, but then they go a long way in delivering what you want to deliver in front of students. So the 5 C's, that's what I feel teachers should be trained in before we train students in it. Thank you.
So thank you, Smita. I think the session that you took and the session that Ankita took, I think if we club both the sessions and if we make one session out of it, it's going to be a guide for the teachers, how to plan online sessions, how to get pepped up, and a lot of takeaways from both of you. You've touched really the real core of a teacher that requires, when you go digital. So thank you so much. I will come to Rupashri now. Rupashri, you've been silent for a long time, so I now want you to unmute your button.
Yeah,
We
done that.
talked a lot about, teacher training. Now comes the role of a parent, because now it's a trio, the child, the management, and the student. So now we've worked out how, to figure out the digital platform for the children. But I think the pyramid is, not complete when we don't touch the parents. So how we can reorient the parents and how, we can club them or collaborate to deliver what the school exactly wants, because the schools are planning the lesson plans for the children, but the facilitator here is not the teacher who is delivering on the screen, because it has to go from the medium of a parent. So I think the parents
Right.
also need to be oriented. So my question to you is, Rupashri, how to reorient the parents?
Yeah. So, like we were discussing even before the session started, uh, as difficult as this time is for us as educators and for the children, it is a difficult time for the parents as well. So, of course, the expectations from them have suddenly raised a lot from their workplaces, at home, and now as parents also. There were a lot of things parents were expecting to be done at school, which they will have to take care of themselves. So, of course, carrying forward the point of teacher training that Ankita and Smita have raised, we as teachers and educators also need to keep this in mind when we are involving parents. Yes, of course, we need to reorient parents, and I will definitely talk about a few points, but we have to be very, very empathetic towards parents as well when we do that, and understand that they are going through a tough time themselves too. And while planning our lesson plans, maybe we should plan it in such a way that we need to give a thought as to how we can involve them to a minimal extent, or in such a way that is part of their daily routine, like Seema just mentioned, while working in the kitchen itself, how the lesson plan can be incorporated. Or maybe give certain activities that require more parent involvement only on the weekends, when we know that parents at least will not have workload from workplaces. So the homework, the lesson plans, etc., have to take all this into account. Since parents are now going to be educators as well, they need to get educated for it. Okay, so unfortunately, I always keep telling this, we educate ourselves for all the jobs we do in life, but we never bother to educate ourselves for the most important job of our life, which is being a parent. We just feel we'll get it, हमको आ जाएगा अपने आप, and that doesn't happen. So as schools, I think we also need to take this up and maybe give certain basic training on the fundamentals of early childhood education to parents as well. And my appeal to parents is, I'm sure all good preschools will plan for it, but if they haven't, ask for it from your preschool is what I would advise to the parents. Please ask for this training, and I'm sure your preschool principals and teachers will be more than happy to train you in a short time possible. I mean, I'm sure we can give a gist of what they need to know. We can can tweak the training so that they don't have to spend 6 months doing a course, but we can definitely have a 2-day, 3-day kind of a session with them and orient them on it. Uh, it is now going to be about a lot of effective teamwork between the parents and the teachers, and both the parties therefore actually need to behave like team. We cannot behave uh, like we are against each other, which sometimes those vibes have been there in the past, parents against teachers. That vibe is no more welcome, and it has to be cut down. We are partners and we have to behave like partners now, and we have to be therefore extremely open with each other. So parents have to be extremely open and come back to a teacher if they have certain concerns, and the teachers will have to be extremely open. And it's okay, I think, if we are open and vulnerable in front of each other, most people tend to understand, and they then see you as human beings, and they work, they offer you solutions many times to solve your problem too. Okay, so let's go with that positive and open mindset with each other now. Parents, in terms of working it out for their children, I think setting that routine once the school begins will be very, very important. And if the child is going to attend classes from home, simple things like creating an environment. For example, we say that children learn by association. Like, children may be speaking Marathi at home, but when they come to school, that they have that association with the environment. Ki here I have to speak in English, right? And suddenly their language switches. So those associations need to now get formed. Now that physical association is not going to happen. So parents have to do simple things like, allocate a place for the child to sit every day, which is your schooling place. A simple thing like that. This is going to be your schooling place. Decorate it. Put some nice smiley faces there. Put some nice cartoons there. Put a beautiful carpet there, so that the child gets a feel that, okay, I'm going somewhere. This is my school place. This is my education place. Wear specific. If the children have uniform from last year, they can actually wear that uniform when they're coming for the school class with the teacher, so that that brings up an association. If not, maybe you can have a separate set of dresses meant for your children to wear when they're going to school. Okay. And that place then should not be used for anything else. I mean, the child cannot then be lying around there, sleeping there. It's a school place, and the sanctity of that school place has to be maintained. So simple things like that will have to be done by parents. Very soon, some shops will start opening. Probably entertainment avenues will start opening. But as long as schools don't open, parents will have to prioritize their free time for their children, at least part of it. And there is no running away from it. That will have to be done, because there will be limitations to how much teachers can do in the next 1 year. And my last and final message to all the parents is that please understand that teachers are new to all this. They have not been training their whole life. They are scared of technology, very honestly. Some of them are savvy, some of them are not. That doesn't mean they're bad teachers. They're wonderful teachers. And we need to give them some time to learn. So cut them some slack in the initial days. If you feel, parents are there to observe classes, and I'm sure all teachers will be open to scrutiny. Even for example, in my summer camps, I have got feedbacks immediately on the very next day from parents. Oh, but that teacher's class was not as engaging as that teacher, the other teacher. But you have to understand that this teacher is probably new to technology. Give her 1 day at least. Give her a couple of days to get used to what she's scared of, and then she will show her true mettle. And that kind of time has to be given to teachers. So both teachers and parents will have to have that patience and cut each other some slack, I think, and work with cooperation to make this time as easy and effective and wonderful as possible for the children. So we should keep the children as a focus, as a priority, and I think we can work things out with each other very well. So that's my take on it.
Very nice, Rupashri. I really like the idea of giving a specific place when you mentioned that. So if I think the parents are listening, definitely they can implement this. But I would really like to request the schools also, to give these kind of guidances to the parents, that design a specific place where, for example, a sofa set or a chair, wherein
Yeah.
the children feel that this place is my school place. About the uniform also you mentioned, because absolutely when the children wear that uniform, they find that association. So these small things can really add and make the lesson plan, which is going on virtual, more connective. So what the teacher is delivering, I think it can be absorbed to the optimum if the parents role and cooperation is there 100% for, just making these little changes in their homes. And very rightly, you just sarcastically mentioned the parents, about running away from the responsibility, which at times they do. Because here I would really like to mention, Rupashri, that now I think the parents have understood the importance of the teachers and the schools, when the children are 24/7 at home. So now they understand कि एक पेज लिखाना या एक पेज oral कराना, वो लोहे के चने चबाना जितना मुश्किल है. So they
At this
understand the teacher's journey.
I would just like to add what Ankita mentioned about, he mentioned it in context of school owners and principals and educators, not getting into a syllabus marathon. I think the same orientation will have to be given to parents as well. There are
Absolutely.
some parents who are also very obsessed with, oh my God, but so much curriculum, how will you complete? My child is supposed to learn this much in this class. I think that reorientation goes for parents as much as it goes for our teachers and principals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Seema, I will come back to you. I want Ankita for this question. After Ankita finishes, I'll come back to you. Ankita?
Yes, I'm here. So yes, like Rupashri said, it's really very important for parents to be involved in the preschool education now. So first of all, parents need to understand that education is a non-negotiable. So parents who are thinking that, oh, it's an online session for an entire year, let me skip the school for a year. Please do not do that for two reasons. Your child will be out of routine of a school for an entire year. Secondly, please remember that there are schools which are investing a lot of energy, a lot of time in research, a lot of time in investing in good teachers. So the schools also need to survive with all that they want to do with your children. So please do not consider education as a negotiable for this year, although the classes are going to be online. From there, yes, the school educators and school owners should make the parents, they should have an orientation for the parents to guide them. Like I said, there is going to be a technology overload. Mostly mothers are going to be at home attending to a child. Preschoolers will most of the time need the parent to be with the child during an online session. So please make sure that the parents are very well oriented to the program. The way you would give flexibility to a child, please give the similar flexibility to a parent as well. There could be mothers probably who have never even used an app. So please give them time to train themselves to handle, because the children are not going to be entirely independent handling an online session. Like Rupashri said, set a routine for the child. Do not ask for flexible timings for the online sessions from schools. Make sure that your child is attending the school when it is being held with like an live session. Do not ask for recordings and do not ask for for flexible timings, because you will never be able to set a pattern and a routine for your child if your child is attending classes sometimes in the afternoon, or maybe is getting up late. So it will really help to set a routine for the child. Yes, again, the same point, create a space for the child, which the child knows that this is my space for school. I'm supposed to sit here for my online sessions of school. Do not give the device to the child on the lap. Make sure that there is a table, the child is able to sit on a chair, and there is a working space also where the child, if needed, can do an activity on a paper or a pencil, or maybe have materials around him. So have a good table and not having the devices on the lap. Maintain discipline at home while the sessions are going on. It shouldn't happen that okay, you have given the child to attend the session and you're watching some serial on a TV, or you're talking to somebody on the phone. So if there is a 1 hour session, maintain the discipline in the house that yes, you are respecting the time of the child for the online session. uh, if the teachers, if the parents want to give some feedback, please do not barge in a session. Have separate timings to interact with the teacher. The teachers and the management also could plan separate individual sessions for parents where they could discuss their concerns, their feedback, and not get into the session where the children and the teachers are participating. Most important point is parents also need to take care of the digital safety and security of the online sessions. There have been instances when the child is on the session on a laptop and there are some adult images or some ads popping up. So when you're giving a device to the child, make sure that it is completely digitally safe and secure for the child to use the device. We definitely need a very, very strong parent partnership. Now the time has overturned. There were parents who used to ask the teachers, "What have you done with my child?" Now the teachers will ask the parent, "What we have given you a home plan. What have you done with the child?" So it is now really the parents will have to play a very, very important role, and I'm sure they will understand what the teachers are doing in the class. About the fundamentals of early childhood education, while I was working at the International School of Stuttgart in Germany, and I was working in the early years program, I saw that every toddler, even of a 3-year-old, they do not have helpers and caretakers in the school. They do everything on their own independently. So here is a chance for the parent to put in a sense of responsibility and independence in the child. And what we work as self-help skills in the school, maybe because then now the child is not going to school, the parents should make sure that they are putting the responsibility and giving the independence to the child to work in the house, to be more independent, to manage their toilet timings, to manage their snack timings. So really work on those self-help skills, that they do not depend, because at school it's like every helper will make them wear the shoe and every caretaker will pick up their bag and put it in the van. So I think this is the time when parents can really put this in use and make the children more independent. Also, if the teachers are teaching with the audio and visual on an online session, we should explain the parents the concept of multisensorial learning, because the children at this age are learning through all their senses. So what has been shown audio visually, maybe they could give the similar experience, the touch and feel experience at home for the similar concept. So the parents should step in there to add to that multisensorial learning concept where the teacher has shown and taught audio visually, but you are giving the similar experience to the child at home. Apart from this, do a lot of conversation with the child, make them read books, and make them engage in active learning. So active learning would be a lot of interaction, a lot of asking of questions, and giving the right responses to children and not making them work while you are doing something else. So engage the child in active learning, which now is not going to happen at school. So this is where the parents would need to step in. If any parent is technologically much advanced and ahead, and has the experience, that we request those parents to really chip in and come to the schools and interact with them, to tell them that okay, we are here to help, we know what needs to be done. If your teachers need training, or if you need any help on any technical issues, because I'm sure there are a lot of parents who are working, who are in the IT background, who could actually step in to help and support all of us together. And I would like to end this by saying that Charles Darwin said, it is not the most strongest and the intelligent people who survive a crisis, but it is the one who are most adaptable to change. So if we accept this as our new normal, then I think all of us will just sail very, very smoothly through all this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ankita, for this wonderful explanation. And now we are coming to the closing. So I would request only 30 seconds for each panelist to give their closing statement because we are running short of time. So I'll come back to Seema. Seema, your closing comments?
Right. So I think I would just want to take the last 30 seconds to talk about the parents and teacher collaboration. That has really worked very well for me. And so what has happened is we know that teachers are will always be teachers. You know, there are their core in their core it lies creativity, and they are loving. You know, so they are not really tech savvy. However, we have a group of parents who are can be really tech savvy, which Ankita just mentioned. So we have actually built a lovely parent-teacher association, and where each other's skills are being used. So that's how we have developed, and we have gone ahead. And there have been a lot of parents who have stepped forward to actually help us in terms of all these technical knowledge. So if you look at teachers, so tomorrow if I give our any kind of documentation to be done to our teachers, they love making posters, charts, and they're very good with creativity. But once we tell them to type out something on Excel, they are not. However, these are the skill sets which already lies with the parents. So parents are very good in helping us in these kind of things. So I think let's collaborate and build on each other's skills and move ahead. That's the last point I want to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'll come to Smita. Smita, your closing comments? Your button is on mute.
It's more about helping students constructing their own learning and making them independent learners and independent little citizens in the house. And another thing which I would want to add is if there would be certain students in the class who would not have understood the online learning, maybe teachers could conduct a once a week remedial sessions for those who've not understood, and giving an FAQ, frequently asked questions, FAQ sheet with every session or with everything, so which solves all the queries when parents are watching the asynchronous videos. So that would really help.
Thank you so much, Smita. I will come to Rupashri. Rupashri, your mic.
Yeah. So as a parting message, what I would just like to tell you a joke that I just read today, but it has very deep meaning. The joke was, please put yourself on mute is going to be a very common phrase once classrooms reopen. Although it's come as a joke, I think the implication is that this digital transformation that we are forced to get into right now is going to have a long-term impact, and the residue of it is going to remain later as well. I think some really good things will come out of it, and a lot of our teachers will realize that there are many things you can do a lot more effectively and a lot more easily. It saves your bandwidth. It gives you a lot more scalability, flexibility if you use technology as your friend rather than looking at it as your enemy. And while it remains a fact that we cannot get away from brick and mortar schooling and education for little kids, I think this will force us to look into looking at online resources and digital resources as our friend. And just like demonetization forced us into going digital with respect to money, probably this COVID-19 situation is going to bring about a digital transformation in every field that we know. And my message to parents, teachers, educators, children, everybody is that be excited about it. Don't be scared about it. We are on an adventure. Let's look at it that way. And I think then we'll get the strength to face it all together.
Thank you so much. Ankita, your closing statement?
Yes, so there was a time when many of these companies approached us for having a smart classroom and having a digital smart board in the class, and I used to not even let them enter the premises, saying that no, I am a true believer of conventional education, and here we are. So never say never. You should be open to what lies in front of you, and I request everybody to renegotiate their boundaries. We cannot be just following one track. There are times when we really have to overturn everything that we have. So renegotiate your boundaries. Having technology with us, trust in the power of what a human being, what a human connection can bring to another human being. So a combination of technology but a human interface with it would bring wonders, and that is what we should go ahead with.
Thank you so much, Ankita. Thank you so much, Seema, Smita, and Rupashri for this wonderful insights that you all gave and made this session so enriching. Thank you so much. And I think that we are now going to enter a digital world. It's going to be a revolution of imparting knowledge. So very rightly, Ankita mentioned that we have to embrace. It has to be a blended combination of the traditional classroom and the digital classroom once we are back and when we resume the schools. So let's not fear. जो आया है उसको निभाते हैं and let's gear the digital. Thank you so much, all the panelists, for sharing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harsha ma'am.
Thank you, Harsha ma'am. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.